What's the topic you can go on for hours without getting tired? Hypothetical situations. What would have been the Germans' reaction to yesterday's game had they lost 7-1 to the Brazilians? Depends. If they played a decent game, but Brazil were simply amazing, and played like the squads from 70 or 82, the Germans would acknowledge how good Brazil were, and accept their defeat. If the Germans played like Brazil played yesterday's game, I guess they would be ashamed of their team, and would think something happened like the squad got drugged, or got some kind of disease, because their team didn't play like this the other games. How people comment on AskPanda topics and fail to upvote the topic, nullifying their chances to get the karma they desire. Seriously, why are there 8 comments with only the stock upvote? I predict that people read this comment and then go back and upvote the topic, and then this post reaches the front page because of you, and if not, well, I'll delete my comment. I'm commenting here just in case you're right for that sweet trickle down karma. Movies. I could really talk about my favorite films for hours. As long as you're not one of those people that insist on talking about the film for hours while it's playing. I'm black, and I know you're talking about me. Sadly, Game of Thrones. Seriously, whenever my bro's girlfriend is staying at our house, we'll just spend hours talking about the characters and various plot lines and such. We need help. I could go on forever about Tywin Lannister. That man is hated, even though he makes all the perfect moves, and is the best strategist in the show. This is Tywinister, the pimpster, the one true king of Westeros, and he deserves to be respected. Excuse me, that would be His Grace Stannis Baratheon to you. My brother and I can talk about my parents for hours. Once you start analyzing your parents, there is no turning back. My sister told me recently, you know, our parents are just 40-year-old people living in the same house as we are. And ever since I could not stop thinking about how freaking strange that is. Like, they're literally some random people that had sex, and they do these things for you like care for you, but at the end of the day, they're just people that had babies. Even during the teenage rebellion years, you're defining yourself, in part, by what your parents are not. Once you form your own identity, they truly become these strange random people who are connected to your life in a seemingly arbitrary way. Harry Potter. Want to know what all the characters are up to after the 7th book ends? I got that crap. Want to know which characters were originally meant to die, and which characters were cut out of the final draft? I got that crap. Want to argue about whether Snape is good or evil? I got that crap. Want to know everything wrong with the 3rd movie? I definitely got that crap. My resume is Harry Potter fanfiction in middle school. Watching the movies makes me cringe a little, because I keep a running tally in my head of what's missing / wrong / added for no good reason. The Weasley's house burning down. Please. I once got into a very intense conversation during a college course, Poverty, Wealth, and Inequality, about the socio-economic status of the wizarding world. Oh my god, the burrow burning down made me irrationally angry. I'm over it now, but when I first saw it, nope. Politics, but with people who agree with me. Circle jerking is fun. I hate to admit, but yes, I debated people for a long time. And nobody ever changed their mind, and I never changed mine, and I've given and received more aggression than I ever thought possible. I'm done. I'm tired, and I'm done doing it. Travel. Whenever I meet someone new, I ask about travel plans or bucket lists. People love to talk about where they've been, and I always find it fascinating. Never makes conversation dull. Kazakhstan in Mongolia on a motorcycle is my dream. Have you seen The Long Way Around with Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman traveling the world on their motorcycles? I thought the bit through Eastern, rural as frick, Russia was incredibly interesting. Hypothetical battles in the Avatar The Last Airbender universe. Ira vs Oze. Who would win? There are a lot of situations that could influence the outcome, but let's go a battle to the death, or until someone concedes. One of the things that makes it hard for this fight is that we don't know how powerful Oze is. The only time we see him fight is whenever he is juiced up by Sozin's comet. For the sake of arguments, let's say that he is equal or slightly stronger than Azula. Azula is a prodigy and could easily surpass Oze shortly in a matter of years. We also don't know how much Sozin's comet powered Oze up. In the finale Oze said 100x, but he was clearly exaggerating. The clear advantage that Oze has over Iroh is that he is faster and more ruthless. It's hard to gauge who is actually stronger though, since we never see Oze in non-comet form. Oze is able to bend lighting, so that does show that he is on somewhat the same level as Iroh in terms of firebending skill and mastery. The one clear thing that Iroh has over Oze is that he can redirect lighting. We don't know if Oze knows that Iroh can redirect it. If he doesn't know, then as soon as Oze uses it, he done. In the finale, when Aang redirects lighting, we see the face of Oze shocked that his lighting was redirected, and Iroh can use that to end him. All in all, if Oze knows that Iroh can redirect, I think that he wins. The speed and ruthlessness that he has might be too much for Iroh to handle. Of course it's hard to gauge exactly, so I give it a 7/10 that Oze will win. One problem that arises whenever you do battles like this is that people will usually pick their favorite to win. This fight though is pretty hard to decide though, since we don't know all that Oze can do, but I still think that he takes it. Programming and computers, or even cars, had to scroll way too far down to find programming. Have an upvote. Had to scroll way too long to find cars. Programming is also neat. Oyster farming and oyster bed restoration, and estuaries, and wetland restoration. I'm super weird. Wetlands are so important though. I wish more people knew and cared about that. I've heard that sentence about 10 times now. I've never once heard someone justify it. I always ask, in what ways are they important? And nobody ever answers the question. Please, someone explain it to me. American football. I'm British and entirely obsessed. My friends have a vague interest and will watch games if we are hanging out, but none of them really know that much about it, so discussion is always pretty basic. Also, RHCP have all their albums, know all their history, unconditionally love all of their music. I'm American and I'm obsessed with the Premier League. Want to trade places? How does that work out in terms of watching games? Do you watch them live? Some NFL games keep me up till 2-3 am. Luckily I'm a student, so I can kinda get away with those hours. My dog. In the manner of parents talking about their infants. It's really boring. Unless you too have an awesome dog and enjoy droning on about it. Pics, or you don't have a dog. Friend of mine takes pictures every day, seems like, of her cats, and then shows them to me, like they are different. Like she's showing me vacation photos. These are not Reddit worthy derpy cats. These are cats sitting like cats. The most boring cats ever. So tragic. Countries and places on Earth in general. I can go on and on about the approximately 200 independent countries in the world and things about them. What cool places there are, and what animals live there, and stuff like that. Earth is such a wonderful planet and there are so many awesome places to see. Every country has its beauty as well. From the lush jungle and pinnacle-shaped volcanoes in the tiny African island nation of Sao Tome and Principe to the icy fjords of Norway. I love to travel, but rarely have the money to go anywhere, so I feed my fascination by seeing places on Google Maps and learning about places, which gives me a lot to talk about. That's incredible and works very well if you have a chance to meet others. Everyone wants to talk about where they are from / born, and everyone thinks their own home place is beautiful. Learning about the world helps us learn about others, which leads to a greater understanding and a greater sense of harmony / balance. There are so many wonderful places to learn about and experience. It is a truly amazing feeling when you've researched / dreamed about a location and then you finally get to experience it. It's like a movie coming true. Football. Oh man, me too. 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, I'm a Broncos fan. My friends ditched me at a bar because I ranted for over an hour about why the Seattle defense wasn't the biggest issue that the Broncos had and how, hopefully, this year could or will be better. I actually meant European football, but I always value fellow sports fans, no matter which kind of sports. Close bracket. Superheroes. Specifically why Aquaman is a freaking badass. Why is Aquaman a badass? In short, Aquaman has incredible strength, far outclassing Batman and most other DC heroes, has a magical barrier protecting him from most physical damage. He's been known to take bullets to the body and head, and walk away with minor scratches, and can telepathically control anything in the ocean, to do whatever he desires. Imagine if he turned evil. So much trade and military activity happens over water. Now imagine every single trading ship being flipped over by whales, and every naval vessel being destroyed by giant squids. He controls the Atlantean army, and formed the Justice League. Lastly, he wields the most badass weapon a man can wield. A goddamn trident. Baseball. It's actually a lot more confusing than people think. All day, every day, 365 days a year baseball is on my mind. Greatest sport ever in my eyes. If anyone has chance, I highly recommend the Ken Burns documentaries on baseball. Talks about the origin of baseball, how rules came to be, and how big business and politics played a pivotal role in the development of MLB. Still blows my mind that a lot British people do not know that the sport originated in their own country too. Back then it was known as rounders, however. Philosophy. It doesn't matter who you are, most everyone has something to say about life's biggest questions, the nature of existence, morality, etc. And we draw on everything: science, religion, books, politics, our own experience to form our own answers. It's so fun to hear everyone's take on the biggies, and if you go on for long enough, you can notice you and the other person's perspective shift ever so slightly, in a diffusion of ideas, so to speak. The trick is to pick the right questions to ask someone. Friend and I used to think of a really crappy job with a reasonable salary. Then we would keep adding positive and negative attributes to the job to find exactly the level when the job was worth taking. One example was $100,000 annually to be the guy who feeds lions at the zoo. You have to feed the lions T-bone steaks by hand, and you have full knowledge that the last lion feeder was killed by the lions while feeding them. The kids in the town see you as a hero, and neither your boss or the town police officers care if you drink/smoke weed on the job. The police officers actually come to your house and compliment how good you are at barn ribs. You have to do the job indefinitely until a lion kills you, or you die of natural causes. Would you take it? These conversations went on for hours. Religion. There should never be any anger when discussing religion. If there is, then those people shouldn't have religion. There should be a temperance test when it comes to handing out faith. If you can't handle other people's beliefs without feeling threatened, then you should have your faith removed and given a Nerf gun, so you can feel like you are accomplishing something. Hockey. From talking about trades, plays, blown calls and watching games to the backyard rink my dad built for my brother and I every year, we spent hours out in the cold playing. Most of the time dinner wasn't even enough to bring us inside. School was on the back burner for the winter months. Projects and papers were done late, and grades suffered for the December report cards. Noise complaints from the only neighbor who didn't play hockey were constantly called into the police. They showed up once asking questions about the rink and taking photos to show to their friends. Of course, they were bribed with an invite to play anytime. Although everyone was invited, as long as you were willing to help. Shovel snow. The best day of the year was when it was too warm to play during the day and the sun melted and cracked the ice, turning it into a slushy. By night it had almost completely refrozen except for a 1-inch layer of water on top of the ice. As you skated, the water would fill in and freeze the calves left by skate blades, and water would fly behind you. It was warm enough to wear a shirt, and we made a tradition of staying out on the ice until the sun came up. I can't even begin to describe what those days were like. So I'll end my rant here before I get carried away.